Kia ora and welcome to Aotearoa on this last full moon of Year of the Wood Dragon before we enter the Year of the Snake on the next new moon, coming in very early at the end of January this year. And hasn't it been quite a journey during this month of January in the Gregorian year 225 that's just begun in this turning over of time of fire? So let us begin with aligning ourselves, coming into our unified field to see what wishes to emerge through the field today. You're welcome to stand up, sound, breathe, and move as you feel if it supports your process. Let us align physical, mental, and emotional bodies. With all-pervading soul or higher self and monadic galactic self. For those new to their path, you may wish to sink a luminous thread deep down through the root, the base of the womb space, through the floor, the soil, the sands, the waters, into the molten core of the heart of Gaia. To connect our physical bodies with the planetary bodies from which they emerge. For everyone else, activating the Earth Star, located 1 foot, half a meter beneath the feet, and connecting through the divergent meridians of the planetary body. The Rios de Luz, rivers of light. Rios de Agua, of water. Rios de Fuego, of fire. And Rios de Oro, gold, and our mineral kingdom. And inviting those primordial, elemental energies of creation up through your own unique pillar, physical and energetic bodies, in their purity and infinite potential, so that they may cleanse, clear, and purify. Rejuvenate, regenerate, recalibrate. So that they may energize, interesting, and liquefy, coming into our plasma bodies. All the way up to the soul star, 1 foot, half a meter above the head, and activating the soul star and inviting down our celestial selves and celestial elements to mix and mingle with the terrestrial, to come into union, to integrate, inhaling, exhaling with sound. Surrendering through the core of Source and the heart of Gaia, where the new true Earth architecture emerges. Surrendering through the core of Source and our own heart spaces. And surrendering through the core of Source in the heart of the sun. And the core of Source in the great central sun. Through the core of Source in the heart of the moon. And in the heart of Gaia, our primordial moon. and surrendering through the core of source in the galactic center. For some, that may find that through the umbilical cord. For others, it may be through the pineal gland, our gateway to God, the all-seeing and the all-knowing. Again, inhaling, exhaling the sound as we strengthen and fortify our pillar in the point on the planet where we stand today. Ooh. Inhaling, exhaling with sound as we unify our connection around and through the planetary body. Honoring our dragons who are very present in the field today. Our inner earth dragons all the way back to the gong gong dragons. And our solar, our stellar and galactic dragons. Honoring our cetacean nation. As we make this journey today to explore what lies beneath our oceans, our planetary oceans, our inner earth oceans, our cosmic oceans, and our inner oceans. Inviting the consciousness in of our Leonis, our lions. Our star lions. And our honeybees. As I hand you over to Casey.
As we stand together in this circle of unified love, we will amplify the field just a little bit more, allowing our connection to reach out even further, opening our heart spaces, opening up our channels, and activating our crystal light bodies at this time, allowing those crystal rivers to flow within our system, that they might amplify the fields and the connection with the waters. And feeling our plasma bodies grow and expand, and visualizing ourselves stepping into the oceans of consciousness, both on the earth plane and above, understanding that one reflects the other. And in order to gain access to one, we have to be connected to both at the same time. Recognizing in the field at this time our star families that wish to be present. From those origin places where we dropped from, where our consciousness decided to experience something else, something new. And knowing that we are still connected to those stars, those planets, the source fields, and feeling their support. And bringing in the consciousness of source itself at this time that wishes to be present in the circle. And the unified fields of love, the universal fields, the great grids of consciousness, and the data information that wishes to stream in at this time. Feeling the circle connection even stronger now as our circle grows with every level of support that steps forward. The consciousness of the crystal beings wish to come forward at this time, both on planet and off. And understanding that there is a great activation taking place among the crystals at this time. That their data is coming forward. It is time to be used. As we step into harmony with them, as our vibrational fields match. Understanding the consciousness that the crystals hold. And understanding that there are great crystals in the ocean that are waking up at this time. Activating the grids. And understanding that there is more information to come forward among the circle at this time. We will step into our pillars more soundly, allowing the information to be transferred heart to heart, from higher self to higher self as the knowledge drops in. So if you are ready for our journey today, coming back to your human, allowing some gentle movement in yourself, feeling your toes wiggle, your connection to Gaia. Feel your chair beneath you, adding some gentle movement to your arms, breathing deeply into your body. And when you are ready, opening your eyes and coming all the way back in.
Thank you, Casey. Maybe we hand over to Raylene to see what wishes to be shared via you today on this grand journey into the unknown.
So hi everyone, and yeah, what an amazing time we're living in, for want of a better word. Time, not time as we've known it, that's for sure. Well, Lee and I were discussing about the inner oceans and maybe elaborating a little bit more on those. Is that something that you feel would be a good thing to move into? So many years ago, in Aotearoa, I was pulled in through Tani Mahuta, the big cow retreat in New Zealand, and I wasn't aware, but there was a big ocean in there, bigger than all the surface oceans combined. And I was quite amazed to move into that amazing place, and then learned that there was a beautiful connection between the kauri and the whale with the skin law, which we've discussed before in other gatherings here. But it's only in the recent years that science has caught up with this and are now letting us know. Is it not that we need letting know, because we can go and do these things and go and journey into these places anyway, but they're catching up and they're actually expressing about this inner ocean. So that's really exciting that humans are starting to get connected back in with the inner ocean, which is like the mother ocean that regulates everything on the surface, all the 5 oceans on the surface of our beautiful planet. And so 97% of our planet is water. And in Aboriginal understanding, we are clever water. So there are 3 types of water that clever water bodies work with, and that is salt water, sweet water, and sky water, so cosmic waters in Aboriginal law, and law, L-A-W, as well as L-O-R-E. And so I feel it's really important for us to claim who we are as we are the way of water. And just to let that drop in, how amazingly potent that is, that we are the way of water. And what is water? Condensed light. But even more so, what is it? It's liquid plasma. And so if we consider ourselves as liquid plasma and the body of our planet as liquid plasma, and we can see what's happening with the solar plasma, we can understand that on other levels of ourself, we are in amazing communicate with our sun, plasma to plasma, at all times, or in all ways. So it's quite profound when we think of it. So 80% of our oceans are unmapped. Can we believe that? 80% of our oceans are unmapped. And I would like to add some terrestrial is unmapped as well, and also not revealed to us for different reasons. Those reasons are interesting in and of themselves. I was in India many, many years ago, and before computers, living there, or just at the start of computers coming in, and I was with a mystic who was amazing, and he was telling me all this stuff and how there are unmapped, and the planet isn't how it looks really as it's been mapped, or as it's been shown to be mapped. There are certain places that have been off limits, and all sorts of things. Like, he was telling me that there were islands in the Pacific Ocean that are not revealed to us, and that there have been certain government agencies, covert agencies, have been doing exchanges with different extraterrestrials, that they can have those places to explore and have it as bases. So there's interesting things going on in our oceans, and we can see that there's a lot more. People are not just looking up; people are actually revealing UFOs and UAPs as coming out of the ocean as well. So there's a lot of activity going on within our oceans. So when we connect now, if we can connect with our inner ocean in a more fluid way, and, as I said, communicate through that language of light, plasma to plasma, with our inner ocean, we can see how we can partake in the regulations of the oceans on the surface of our planet, just as our cetacean brethren are doing. And this has an incredible impact on what's occurring in this transitional phase of our planetary body, readjusting its spin, readjusting its elemental and molecular structure. We are no longer working and alchemizing through 3D elements. And how do we know this? Because our relation to time has changed dramatically. And that is because our elemental and molecular structure is no longer in the vibratory fields of 3D dimensional interplay. So those inner oceans work in with the 2D telluric currents, but our ocean, just as our inner earth molten core is 1D. So we don't work a lot with 1D as a whole, but 1D is where our cetaceans are having their interplay with the planetary spheres and the planetary bodies. So this is something that, you know, I invite you all to ponder and perhaps attune with your vibratory rate. So we can see that the oceans are, in some schools of thought, the mind, and in particular, our oceans are the unconscious mind. It's deep, it's dark, we don't know what's down there, like the unconscious mind. But here we have the cetaceans that say, that's our natural playground. And on other levels of awareness, you too are playing with us within these spheres of consciousness. So we're invited by them to come and join in that beautiful fluid dance, that oceanic consciousness, from the unconscious mind to oceanic conscious, expansive consciousness. So it is through our inner earth ocean that we find a beautiful anchoring rod of stability, rather than feeling that panic of the unknown. It is also where we get to clear catastrophobia, where we may have experienced lifetimes of floods or massive inundations like tsunamis engulfing us. I've experienced a couple of, for want of a better word, past life recalls, but a memory recall from the memory field of standing on a high point with a group of people, and there was nothing we could do about that wave coming towards us. And it was actually in Arizona, in the deserts, and which was close to the ocean shoreline at that point, at that epoch. And they were like, we were living like in Pueblo, cave dwelling people, and this wave was coming towards us. And all I could do was to sing to them the song of the ocean, the song of the land, the marrying of the two, so that their bodies felt safe and that they could move out of the body into their next place of learning with ease and grace through the dimensionality of their own source codes within those bodies that we carry the memories of throughout every transitional phase. And it is said that the song Auld Lang Syne, that is normally sung at New Year's, is a Lemurian song, and that is what they were singing. I learned that afterwards, that is what was being sung when the lands sunk. So we have opportunities here to also clear catastrophobia through oceanic consciousness and the memory field. So it's very deep, that inner ocean. It's 700 kilometers, and it's beneath our Earth's surface, and we can attune with it and commune with it whenever we feel to find that connection of stability of the Mother Ocean, that Mother Ocean memory field, rather than feeling a little bit scared of the unknown, of the deep, dark depths of our ocean or our unconscious mind. So beneath that 7 kilometre, beneath the Earth's surface, the water is trapped in a blue rock, which is called ringwoodite. And that blue rock connects in with what I receive. And there's another sister in Aotearoa who also speaks to this. It's the blue diamond of Lemuria. And so that ocean is within this crystalline structure of this blue rock called ringwoodite. And I invite you to just look at this as scientifically what they're discovering. So there's a vast reservoir of water, a reservoir of oceanic consciousness, and a reservoir of divine love that interplays with the surface ocean at all times, which is pretty beautiful when we feel. And if we tune in with that rhythm of those ripples that are perpetually moving between the surface and the inner earth, it's also very nice to just really lull yourself within those waves. So it's made up of hydrogen and oxygen and atoms. And they're saying that it is through these waters or this movement that we were talking about this last time, it is what influences the plates tectonic on the surface of our ocean. So again, we can look at how this beautiful dance over eons of time with the tectonic plates are interfacing with each other, and that how this is creating a movement, a flow, a rhythmic dance. So the tectonic plates draw water down into the Earth's mantle where this ocean is. And that's where it is absorbed as the mineral ringwoodite. And so there's an alchemy occurring here of what's coming from the surface down into the inner core to create this crystalline structure. And then it is sent back out again, alchemized through what's going on in the what's going on in the inner core earth. But this is also what's happening with our sun and the inner sun of our earth. Just to take that a little further, and that the sun is liquid plasma. So we've got all this amazing fluidity that we are really fully immersing ourselves in now, without any doubt. So the ringwoodite travels back into the surface inside magma. And then this is creating a whole alchemical change to the water structure of the surface of our planet. So this is cycling all types of bodies on our planet and the water memory fields through different beings that we can call glaciers, lakes, rivers, aquifers, which is pretty amazing. And it also influences the rain, the frequency of drought, the exchange of water between the mantle and the surface. Also dictates the habitat, our habitats on the surface of the earth. In the Vedic tradition, there's also considered 7 oceans in Vedic mythology or cosmology. And these are said to be the abdomen of Vishnu. And it's also associated with 7 celestial continents, or what they call islands of light. And in between each of these 7 islands of light are oceans in our cosmos. So we're not the only oceanic body within our universe. And so in between the islands of light of Vishnu's abdomen are a salt ocean, a sea of sugarcane juice, a sea of wine, a sea of ghee, of different types of curds, yogurt, and milk. And then there is sweet water. Which is quite amazing. It sounds very mythical and mystical, but if we can think it, then we know that it exists somewhere. Somewhere that we are already connected to. So I'll be journeying to Angkor Wat in Cambodia soon for the equinox, and there they depict a whole macro-micro cosmology of this milk ocean. They have a massive moat around the whole temple complex, which is dedicated to this milk ocean, and then the churning of the milk ocean between the asuras, which are the demons, and the devatas, which are the celestial beings. And it is churned through Mount Meru, which is the spiritual mountain within the universe, and the macro of that is Mount Kailash, which we know to be the crown chakra, the seventh chakra of our planet. And there's an amazing churning where Vishnu transforms himself into a turtle, and then Mount Meru sits on the body, and so that's the churning rod. And then it's a battle in a sense, like a tug of war, and the tug of war rope is actually Vasaki. Vasaki is the dragon, the cosmic serpent. And so they go back and forth with this amazing churning of the milk ocean. And this is depicted in dioramas, the most beautiful dioramas all around the temple walls of Angkor Wat. And yes, you can be fully immersed in this amazing lila, this cosmic play within that place. So we also know in Bali, Vasaki is the cosmic mother dragon that is in Mount Agung, the most sacred place on the island of Bali. And so it is she who churns the milk ocean. And I feel it's really important for us to move into our mythical realms. Now that we are freeing ourselves up of the entrapments of the lower astral and the death, decay, and entropy cycles that have bound us to those realms, we are now freeing ourselves up to move fully and freely into our mythical bodies and to partake in the eternal dance, the eternal song, and the eternal stories. It is said that in the spiritual world that every step is a dance and every word spoken is a song. So we're invited. So it's interesting, again, we have the turtle coming up as connected to, the greater cosmic cycles. That turtle avatar, one of 9 avatars that Vishnu takes form to perform certain universal pastimes to support the living entities, the living beings. His name is Kurma. So he's a form of Vishnu that comes to protect the earth. And that's part of what the churning was, that the asuras, the demons, were throwing everything out of balance. They were gaining too much power through different austerities, but not as source coded connected, as for self-gain, for the service to self. So this pastime had to happen, and we can see we're sort of going through that again right now. These are continual leelas that are going on throughout the universe. So yeah, the Milk Ocean is a primordial or primeval ocean, and the churning is for us to receive the elixir that comes from that, the Amrita, as it's known. And it's a very involved and beautiful story, which involves Lord Shiva taking the poison into his throat and holding it here. And his whole throat now is always blue, Lord Shiva, and that's why. And then Vasaki wraps around his throat to protect him, that the poison doesn't travel anywhere else in his body. And so there's some beautiful exchanges going on. Yeah. So I just thought I'd talk about the inner ocean in terms of our mythos and how we are connecting in through various mythoses with helping us to remember who we are and what we're a part of beyond the earthly sense, and that within our consciousness we are always connected to these leelas, to these pastimes, and to remember that, to reclaim the dismembered parts of self. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Raylene. Is there anybody else who has questions or contributions to the field after that very rich sharing? Or are you still digesting it?
I've just given a taste of that sweetness, of that sweet water to drink from. But they're amazing sources that go very deeply and very richly, as you say, into these pastimes. And
yeah. It's very beautiful. You know, just 2 days ago, I arrived here in Ohawaii, which is in the central of the far north of Aotearoa. It's a similar distance here to the Tasman Sea on one side, Waipua Forest and Tanimahuta, who is calling for a visit, and the Pacific Ocean and the East Coast and the Bay of Islands, where 144 islands where I was born and raised. And it's always very nourishing to come back here to my Turangi Waiwai, my place of belonging, where my parents lived in the little village in Ohawaii, just down the hill from this beautiful space that I am a guardian of while friends are traveling. And it was a very intense landing here 2 nights ago. The activity of light ships was extraordinary. There's normally 3 light ships that are pretty much hang out in close proximity in my earth walk. And there was an additional 5 that night, and they were making themselves very present, very known. And, you know, I closed most of the curtains except the one at the end of my bed, and they entertained me for most of the evening while I was deep in personal and planetary work that had been unfolding since our last gathering. And when that work, just after our last gathering, a few days after, on the Pacific Triangle was complete, I also met up with Olga, and we were working with the triangle across the Atlantic simultaneously on both sides, so Atlantic and Pacific, which was very interesting. And it was as though what had been locked down was being unlocked in that process.
yes, I've too been made privy to that information with certain piggybacking grids within the Atlantic, which have now been dismantled. quite potent ones. So it's a big freeing up. Also, information coming through in the last few days about this moon in Cancer, in its natural state and potency with the moon and this full moon. And that, yeah, there's been a lot of freeing up with the, let's just say, the falsities with moon orbits and the way there have been inorganic moon activity on the planet for quite a while. And this full moon is giving an opportunity for that to be brought back, as you said earlier, into connection with our primordial moon, Gaia. So we can see, or we can understand that there is a lot clearing out at the moment. And again, because the moon regulates the tides, and, as the saying goes, tide and time waits for no man. And so we're all invited to come within, within that waveform, that wave flow, now that through certain inorganic moon activity and connecting through the grids of the earth have had us in a disconnect for eons, and that now is being remembered. We're putting back the dismembered parts of self in relation to our true connection to the moon and our true connection to the ocean and our true connection to the interflow of our earth. And again, it's that mythical reclamation that allows us to be in that free flow, unhindered. And more the merrier, I say.
Absolutely, and it's interesting to witness what's moving on the planet as a result. Pali has come to life again on Big Island in Hawaii, and there's, I don't know, between 60 and 80,000 people in Ethiopia have been relocated because of the amount and the frequency and velocity of the earthquakes occurring in the Great Rift Valley, which is very significant right now, which is quite interesting as far as the movement of the tectonic plates that are finding their freedom again.
Yes, and as Casey was saying, the connection with the crystal, the mineral kingdom. And there will be new minerals coming to the surface of our earth through this exchange, minerals that we have not been connected with for many eons and are holding tremendous envelopes of information for us to retrieve. So yeah, that's coming up through the oceans as well. So spot on there, Casey.
Yeah, and I just want to add that this is what I've been observing since our fields connected at the very beginning. It's kind of like half of me was listening and picking up the informations, and the other half was observing what our systems were doing together. And it's all connected. So like at the very beginning, we only connected, and I saw us immediately being like down in the water, like inside the ocean, like we're wondering like why it will be like diving into the ocean like a few days ago. And it just like immediately our consciousnesses dived into when the continent is synced, but we dived in our kind of like galactic dragons consciousnesses, and kind of like we're standing around the continent, kind of moving continent up. And then there was this thing Urailin was talking about, this kind of crystal underneath, like a blue crystal or blue plasma.
Ringwoodite.
Yeah.
Ringwoodite.
So it kind of like, it's almost like we freed it, but like it felt like there was something even deeper than that, and it was all around the globe, and it was kind of like a liquid plasma consciousness, which is holding like a original blueprint for the planet before all the other civilizations which were created, and it's connected with galactic dragon consciousness. So somehow like set up for the planet at the very beginning. And what was happening that somehow through, because I know that you've been doing a lot of work with like bringing like more continent up to the surface, and it allowed, so it kind of like took the weight up, and it allowed all the like lower layers also to be freed, and somehow our systems were awakening this plasma. Maybe this is like this like milk ocean you were talking about, I don't know. I was seeing like the plasma kind of like layer underneath the oceans, holding all the basic original pristine blueprint for the planet from before all the other civilizations. And each civilization had like kind of more density, so kind of less and less informations from this plasma field could reach the civilization. And what somehow is happening right now while we are sitting here, I don't know why this setup was needed for it, it's kind of like the density is kind of lessening, and it's been activated, and like more and more informations are coming up. And this is exactly what you also said, that the crystals with the informations will be coming, and you, Casey, as well. So it's all like, you know, coming up. But it was really beautiful picture, like seeing it as like there is a whole layer like underneath all the oceans, like holding this pristine original blueprint for the planet, which hasn't been like in contact with the surface for quite a long time. And somehow we are activating it right now. So kind of cool.
Thank you. It's interesting that this blue rock is called ringwoodite because, as I mentioned in the cosmology and the seven oceans, the seven cosmic oceans, they're in rings around islands. And so we've got this ring connection. And then we've got woodite, and we've got wood. Now here we are, we're talking about Vasaki churning the milk ocean and going back and forth with the serpent creating the amrita, the nectar for us to drink from, which is, you know, the elixir of eternal life, freeing us up from the entrapments of, as I said, reincarnation cycles through the death, you know, death, decay, and entropy. That's the only way we can go. We can't experience ourselves as physical immortalists. But it's interesting, it's woodite, you know, and here we are about to enter into the year of the wood snake.
No, we're coming out of the wood dragon.
Yes.
And entering the earth snake.
Sorry, the earth snake, yeah. It's interesting for me that there's this changing of the guards on all levels, molecularly, elementally, that is creating this alchemy for us to draw on, this Amrita.
The rings have a connection with the epochs of time. They're like rings of consciousness that that specific stone carries. The guides were having me think of the way the vortex of the heart works in order to bring those quotes forward through the lava fields, the lava tubes, and to bring it to the surface, to the consciousness. And we've also been gifted this time frame with the galactics coming forward that Leanne was talking about, the ships. I was in a meeting for about 3 days when all these galactic beings were coming forward and showing themselves, and they're helping to bring lightness to the earth, to break apart the density that is here, so that this information can come forward at this time.
Thank you. And that ties in with the milk ocean coming from the cosmic cow, you know, our Milky Way galaxy, our cosmic mother, cow mother, who's prevalent in lots of mythos, you know, in Ireland. Boan Finn is her name, and we know she's Hathor in Egyptian. And we have this connection with her coming through as well. And as you were speaking, I felt very strongly about the groups, you know, the councils of these islands of light coming through from our galactic brethren, through very much present, as you were speaking, of the Arcturians and also the Andromedians, who are making this bridge, this amazing bridge connection between the Milky Way galaxy and the Andromeda galaxy. Again, as I've mentioned in other gatherings, that Andromeda galaxy is our primordial galaxy connector in another universal time matrix cycle of Gaia or Tara or Sophia. So yeah, we have this amazing, incredible what's happening. It's just so mind-blowing and humbling at the same time. And yeah, very much present before we even started. The cosmic water dragons come through, which I've written articles about them before, and they were very prominent, wanting to, very excited about this gathering and wanted to be present within, so they'll probably come through with a blessing at some point as well.
Which makes sense why I'm sitting in the middle of a big beef farming area, and we even have Alice's painting of the Frisian cows to join us today.
Ah.
Is there any other questions or contributions to the field?
I would like to shortly contribute, since I'm here like Europe, Berlin, and I'm only here for a couple of days. And it was very interesting because I was like guided to come here and to work in 3-4 different places. And it is connected to all that. It was like they said, the star elders, call in the star elders. They are assisted by the cosmic dragons. So there is really, this is like a bigger thing, what I don't have to understand, but it was just to be done. Yeah. And they said it will be a new grid created, and it is a love grid, which will overlay all the other grids that are already existing. And this love grid was like turned down because of fear and of war and death. Yeah. And this new love grid will be now created. It was very, was a beautiful work. And I don't know, I'm still digesting or still trying to, because I was sent through the city to different places, and the Brandenburger Tor, and then the oldest church of Berlin, like it's a Mother Mary church, and then to the dome, and then to this mountain with a cross. And so it is still weaving in a way, but for me the most important thing was really this grid of love, that will overlay all the other grids. And before we started, the woman where I'm staying, she just gave me a card. And that was also interesting because it's a card of Europe, and it's a card drawn 1500, something like that. And it is the queen. It is a queen that represents, it's a woman that represents whole of Europe. It is like from the Middle Age. Yeah. It was really interesting to get that. Mm. Yeah. And the other thing was about the crystals. They also said like the activation of crystals, but it was about the etheric galactic crystals, that they will also play a very, very important part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katarina. Thank you for the love shower of Koyopa as you spoke into the heart grid that's being resurrected in the heart of Europe.
Yes, it's very interesting. Berlin's an amazing place. I was discussing earlier that I was called there to live in the forests. Right, I lived 5 kilometers from the border of Germany and Poland, and my closest city was Berlin, not Wrocław. And so there was a lot of work to do there. And when we look at Robert Kuhn's grids, which is the main prominent 7 chakras of the planet, we can, his amazing body of work has Berlin linked with Glastonbury, the 2 Brandenburg Tor and the Glastonbury Tor are linked through the heart chakra with also with Montserrat, just out of Barcelona. So these form 3 spheres of light, or 3 islands of light, as they interlock with each other as a triquetra. And yeah, I was called to Berlin, like you, to work with certain points in the late 90s and early 2000s to reestablish this new heart grid for the planet. So I'm very, very elated to hear that you are there, bringing through the codes for now. Thank you so much. And yes, the dragons are very much a part of this weaving of the heart. And in a sense, the cosmic water dragons are freeing up our emotional bodies so that we can receive and drink more deeply from this oceanic nectar.
Alia, are you feeling called to share your song with us? It feels you're next.
Yes, you are.
Maya, Maya, Maya.
Wow, thank you so much, Talia. It feels as though you've just sung through the karakia, or prayer for the raising of Mu.
There was a lot of beautiful stories being woven through that one song, with different epochs and different indigenous stories. Like I saw a starry waka, and that was creating a connection between a celestial confluence to our rivers and oceans. And there was a beautiful meter of the oars with your song being woven together and bringing this mana, this liquid light frequency. And before it, I saw the ant people, which is a beautiful story of when the waters covered the earth, the ant people took humankind into the inner realms. This is American Indian, Lakota and Hopi as well, connected with the ant people, and they also have it here in Central Australia, where these ant people took them in through the tunnels into the inner earth and kept humans safe, but not only kept them safe, fed them from their own supplies, and it says that's why their bodies are so, their heads are big and their bodies come down and are so narrow, because they were virtually fasting in order to give and share their sustenance with humankind until the cycle of the waters receding and the new oceans forming was re-established. So that was also coming through in the beginning of the song. I was showing that story So it was very beautiful to witness.
There was something that really struck me when you said rhythm of the oars. I just felt that really deeply, but I can't put into words why, but I just felt it. Yeah.
Because,
Yeah, that makes me really emotional actually.
yeah, because you're connected to this. You're connected to this. You know how to bring the meter and the tone. It's not just to know these words or these mantras and just there's a whole diction there's a meter and a tone for actually bringing through the connection, that it's not only connected but sustained. And it's an art rekindling, you know. And this is part of the remembering I speak to, not just the remembering of walking the land, you know, putting back the dismembered parts of self, but also to be in this rhythmic flow of the meter and the tone. And this is why I say it's not about note perfect when we sing, you know, to connect in as crystal singers of the planet. It's to sing in the key of the heart and the melody of the soul. So it's not about note perfect or what a singing teacher may correct in us, as we have known singing to be until now.
Yeah, and there's something that really strikes me as you say that about being in the waka, connected to the stars and feeling and the oars and the song that we would have sung. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, you're invited. That's it. You're an oar master through sonic weaving.
And as we speak into this, I can see the ancient wakas that used to paddle across the Pacific singing the star songs.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and the huge harmony that's created when we do that.
The harmonics, harmonics of our spheres, the bodies, the planetary bodies, the planetary spheres are receiving the harmonics, and it's creating harmony.
Yeah.
Not just on our planet, throughout the cosmos. You know, all is connected through these divine waters. And that's why we are clever water, because we're not only influencing our bodies and our localized lands and our planet, we're influencing the whole universal sphere of consciousness. Remembering that in the spiritual world, every word spoken is a song and every step taken is a dance. It's why we've come here, to reconnect this source code memory, embody it fully, because it is through us and our divine angelic architecture that we are able to influence all spheres of consciousness. And this is why there's been a lot of shutdown activity for many eons and cycles, and because certain beings wanted us to give away that power and worship and adore them, not as elder brothers and sisters, but as gods, little g gods. And we are waking up and reclaiming that source code and our connection to source, and inviting them to return. I mean, many of the dragons have called their own to task. You know, the dragon councils have said enough is enough. And, you know, that's why there's a mass exodus occurring with certain reptilian races that have been holding space here for many, many cycles. And there are many that have said, well, you know what? I didn't particularly like this role or this job I had anyway, and I'd really like to come on board now with the, you know, with the dragon councils. And that too is occurring. And so that's creating a restructuring and a rebalancing, as I said, molecularly and elementally to our planet. Just the fact that they've decided to be operating within divine will, not personal free will. And we're all invited to do that. Because we're all part of, you know, we've all got, it's not separation. We've been here a long time. We're, you know, we are a hybridized race in that setting, in that context. So it's in us as well. And so when we make peace with these facets of self and these facets of consciousness that we're holding, and we're able to free up a lot within DNA coding. And if we can see our DNA as plasma, and that we are interfacing and communicating with plasma, we can see we can change the whole structure of our DNA and RNA. Our RNA are our inner song lines, and very valuable to us. So hold them as precious, and do not give power away to anyone or anything in regards to your innate RNA song. And so this is very important for us to communicate. And the streams coming in from the sun, and we talk about all the, you know, the symptomatic stuff of our body and what's going on with our body, and oh my gosh, I was awake all night, and oh, my legs are hurting, and all this. It's a language. It's a language. And if we learn to remember the language that this plasma is conveying to us, it helps to release the hanging on to the pain body, the hanging on to the emotional body that we're experiencing as we move through these plasmic upgrades. And as I say, it's a language that we're learning, and it is about deciphering the meter and tone of that language between our inner sun of the inner earth and the sun in our solar system. And then we'll be less concerned about the bodily changes and the aches and the pains and the lack of sleep. If we remain in that, deciphering the language, what is it showing me? What is it teaching me? What is it trying to convey to me? Let's not get caught up on symptoms. Let's learn that language again. Let's remember that language, that beautiful language of light. Once we remember the language, then all those things, they just dissolve. And I know it's been really intense, but we only get what we're ready for, no more, no less. I mean, the intensity on the body has been extreme, extreme, with X flaring, M flaring. I mean, we're holding down incredible amounts of light. And it's our stories being returned to us, being delivered And yeah, it's a deliverance, and we're in it.
And speaking of language of light, it does feel as though you might have another transmission for us, Raylene.
Possibly solely. There's an aspect of my being who is called Kitiyanka, and that name translates as she who is of the oceanic stars, and she is connected to the beings within the inner oceans of our planet, called the Blue Pearl Cult, and they're very beautiful beings with big eyes and elongated heads and blue shimmering skin, and I feel she wants to open up, and then she will direct me into the cosmic water dragons. She wanted to come in first, she said, when I discussed the cosmic water dragons earlier. So I'm just going to prepare. If everyone can just tap here, there's something that's releasing through the group, throat chakra here, with this blue crystal within the oceanic realms of our inner earth. So that's, and it's like this with your hand like that, and then directly on the thymus. Hooya! Quite strongly. Hooya! 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 Mama, 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 me, 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 mo, 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 mo. So this is a clearing any of the trauma around Lemurian Holocaust, Lemurian end times, and it's virtually just the vowels A-E-I-O-U with an M in front. So mama, 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 me, 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 mo, 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 mo. Moo, 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 moo. Mama, 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 me, 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 mo, 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 mo. Sorry, just clearing that out. Okay. O Koreana hara tati, ishayata ko ora takayana atako tori. Mastayana hata ko hora tata, papapayana aristayete. Rishokorayana hatako ora taki atako. Orayana haratuko o ishayati. Pliadi harananda otokore. Sirayana haratuko o shayataka aratuko orini titi. Ipayana harataka aratuko oyete. Iatako orto te ishayana aratuko orti itata taita. Opapayana aharatuko orite teeta haratuko oi. Ori. Ori. Hiertuko, Oriet, Besteina, Besteina, Besteinako, Korituko, Ortuko, 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 Oiete, Tiaeteka, Artuko, Ortuko, 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 Ipaina, Ashti, Metako, Metako, Metako. So the first blessing from Kitiyanka gave like a protocol. And that was the way to connect in with the blue crystal within the inner ocean, is to connect with the blue lotus on the surface of our planet. And that's the water connection that will bring through that consciousness. It's something that we can tangibly connect with in this realm. And so that was her blessing. And she was speaking to the glories of the blue lotus in connection to the blue crystal within our inner ocean. And that water element connection and that alchemy, which is profound. And then the cosmic water dragons were very, very, the most, normally they're quite stern, the dragon clans, but it was all about heartfelt joy and being in the humor and not to take ourselves so seriously. And it was all about the laughter. I mean, I've never experienced them like that before, but they were really jovial and laughing and like, don't take yourself so seriously, really. It's serious, not serious. And they were joking and laughing about that. And then there was at the end there was a stern, but don't forget why you're here. Don't get caught up in, just all the frolicking about the place. You're still here to do the job. So that was interesting. Beautiful thing about the blue lotus and the lotus is that in the Commission, in the Commission, they have the stages of the cosmic cycles, the 5 suns, and we're entering into Kepa, which is the first stage of birthing the sun, and he's the scarab beetle rolling, the dung beetle rolling around the cosmos, recreating the whole new cycle again. And Kepa has an incredible connection to the lotus, where, like the bee, Kepa crawls into the lotus and he does this little dance and covers himself in the pollen. And this whole alchemical change happens between the scarab and the lotus, where it's white, it's pure white, and it changes color through he's pollinating the lotus. So I was reminded of that too when we were told to work with the blue lotus. So, and we can see ourselves in that alchemical transmutation through Kepa, and I take people when I take groups to Egypt, we do this, do a whole ceremony inside the Great Pyramid as a private permission at night, and we do this whole ceremony with Kepa and the blue lotus, with different blue lotus teas and oils, and it's a beautiful ceremony. And but this is something for us to know, that we are Kepa. We are birthing ourselves through this new cosmic cycle of the sun. There's a beautiful video I'll share showing that process of that transmutation and the lotus changing color as Kepa's in there covered in pollen. So I'll share the link after.
That's beautiful. So thank you so much, Raylene. And it reminds me of the prophecy that when the blue lotus returns to the waterways of Cairo, the world will know peace.
And it's happening. all the roadway between Saqqara and Giza. They've cleaned out the latest president, prime minister. I don't know which one of them, but they've undertaken to clear out all the canals between, and there's so much water lilies and stuff starting to flourish, and yeah, lots of water plants.
Very beautiful. I will be brewing my blue lotus tea after our journey today.
Yes.
I have to sit it outside in a glass vase or jug in the sunlight
Yes.
to brew. And the sun taught me that years ago when I was living in Uluwatu in Bali.
Beautiful.
Wow, what a journey today. A journey of remembering and a journey of reclaiming responsibility for singing the harmonics of our earth. It is time.
Yes, we are the masters of no time within time. The 13 sequences of no time, as depicted on Turtle's back.
So thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your presence within the unified field, surrounding and spanning all continents today. And it feels important that I hand to Casey, who has something to share maybe before she comes to closure today.
There were codes that dropped in after Raylan's transmission during the quiet space, the void space, that allowed the human psyche to shut down in order for the consciousness of that Mother Ocean to come in and fill the space. And it was very tangible for me. Like I could feel the difference between that and tapping into the source field, which was very different. The Mother Ocean consciousness was this beautiful void kind of womb space. And it was, it's like a beautiful container that we can each step into if you guys choose to. After that, you now have the codes that dropped into your fields to explore that further.
Yes. And it was a rewiring of the emotional body. Thanks for reminding me of that aspect, and that's very much as I was speaking, voicing as a spokesperson for the cosmic water dragons, that they was saying to me that they are rewiring the emotional body to move into oceanic consciousness more freely and with ease and grace, rather than kicking and screaming all along through the pain body. And so that was nice too. So yes, thank you for confirming that. I'd forgotten to mention that bit. Thank you.
Of course. We'll step into the connection field at this time, giving gratitude for all the codes that came forward, for all the hearts that shared their harmonics together, for the beautiful journey that we took, connecting the earth to the cosmic spaces in our canoes, and the importance of understanding what it means to row and to anchor in for future generations as we do our rowing together, creating those harmonics and understanding that we are conduits, crystal conduits of light as we are standing on the earth plane, and then we are connected to Gaia at all times. Thanking the higher consciousness realms for showing up and being supported here. Thanking the cosmic ocean dragons for being here. We'll give gratitude to the source field itself, understanding that we are connected at all times. And now we are choosing to step back into our individuated pillars in order to stand more firmly on our earth journeys today, in order for us to take our next steps on our earth path before we connect again in a few weeks' time. and experiencing what changes there are for us on each pathway, what individuated journeys that we are taking at this time. Through our hearts, we give gratitude for the journey today. And when you are ready, anchoring back into your human bustle, feeling your feet as you stand on Gaia, grounded on the earth, anchoring into our human bodies, giving a little bit more life, more breath into our systems. Wiggle your toes and feel your feet. Wiggle your fingers and coming all the way back in, breathing a little bit deeper into our bodies. And when you are ready, opening your eyes and coming fully all the way back in.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, everybody, for your love and presence and contributions and gifts and service today and every day as we walk this earth. And we look forward to meeting you on the new moon and the initiation of the Chinese New Year of the Earth Snake. Guaranteed to be an extraordinary year of transformation that awaits. And with 5 big planetary alignments simultaneously this month, many of our outer planets, we can guarantee there's likely to be a quantum change on our planetary playing field and in the consciousness of humanity. Journey well. Please do drink plenty of water and put your feet on the ground and some gentle exercise to integrate that feast of multidimensional information. Thank you, everybody, and see you again soon. Much love from Aotea.